Good afternoon, grade 8 students and parents, and welcome to our information session for the MYP subject options. Usually we invite you into the school for this, but due to our context, we're doing it slightly differently, and I thought you might appreciate the backdrop a little bit more. So I hope that this session meets you all healthy and well. For those of you who don't know me, I am Kirsty DeWilde, and I am the MYP coordinator at ISBERN. If you can join us on this journey this evening, I'm going to take you through our presentation and then introduce you to our arts and PHE and language teachers who will continue the presentation for us. We will incorporate, or we have incorporated, a back channel which enables you to ask any questions from any one of us, may it be general or specific, and we promise to get back to you as soon as we possibly can. So, our subject selection information evening. What we look at here is a decreased amount of subjects in favour of an increased specialisation in the middle years programme. So this gives students some choice and ownership over their learning. So we like to look at this purpose of the electives, or the selections, is twofold. As I've mentioned, the opportunity to choose subjects that they're passionate about, that they're really interested in, and also to provide them with the choices to prepare for the IB diploma programme, because they will be asked to make choices to narrow down their subjects even further for the diploma. So the MYP does state that we can choose for these grade levels from 6 to 8 subjects. However, for grade 9, students will have the opportunity to choose from 7. Not all subjects are open for choice. The ones I mentioned earlier are. There are these 5 subjects which remain the same, and those are language and literature, which we call English, individuals and societies. You may know that better is humanities, but in the MYP we call it individuals and societies. We have language acquisition, which is the second language your child is following at the moment, whether that be German or French. We have maths, and we have science. What we have available, our options, are theatre arts, visual arts, music, as well as PHE. And in our languages, although students currently must do either German or French, they have the opportunity to take on a second language. So if they're currently studying German but wish to take on French and vice versa, they may do so, or they can choose a mother tongue. So we offer opportunities for the languages because we do really want to support a holistic but also very balanced curriculum. So although students already have one language, we like to encourage them to take on another if they so choose. Additionally, this is the same with arts. Again, to support a holistic yet balanced curriculum, they can actually choose up to 2 art subjects, which I think will really benefit those who find themselves particularly drawn to the arts. We also offer PHE for those who find themselves attracted to the sporty world and the theory that accompanies PHE. We have 2 new classes. We call them new classes, although they're not particularly new classes for us. They're more new classes for the grade 8s coming up because they don't have them. We introduced last year a well-being period, and we believe quite strongly in the social, emotional and mental well-being of our students. We see that as a priority, and we draw upon research to really support every step we make. And when we have a look, or when you have a look into our well-being program, you can see the research that we have drawn upon. So we believe that the fertile ground for growth is our students' well-being. If our students are in a solid place where they feel balanced, where they don't feel so stressed or anxious, this enables them to learn better. Secondly, we have given services action / approaches to learning as a subject this year. And this is because the services action is really strongly linked to our whole mission and vision as an IB school. We really want to focus on service learning, how students can give back to the world locally and globally. And we couple that up quite nicely with approaches to learning. Those are our key skills. So for example, we will explicitly teach communication, but we will do it through the lens of services action. So before I introduce you to our colleagues, just to let you know that where to from here, I will send out a Google form to parents and students on May 6th. In the meantime, we would like you to discuss those options with your child. The form indicating the choices to be submitted by Wednesday, May 13, and as soon as we have all that information, we can have a look at the big picture. We will send you a confirmation email of the choices that have been made. So, moving on, I will introduce you first of all to our visual arts teacher, and that is Miss Rose. She will take you through visual arts and their course options for grades 9 and 10. And without further ado, here is Miss Rose.
Everyone, I'm Miss Rose, for those of you who don't know me yet. I'm the secondary visual arts teacher, and I will introduce grade 9 and 10 visual arts to you. Alright, let me present. Grade 9 and 10 visual arts. It mostly continues, oh gosh, what's happening? Continues on relatively seamlessly from grade 8. It's a great course. It's the best course, actually. And students get a chance to really explore a lot of different art making forms, techniques, and develop themselves as a young artist and get ready for grade 11 DP visual arts if they choose that. It is in a 2-year cycle. Grade 9 and 10 are in the same class and follow the same program. In year 1, we start with art history, sort of a crash course. Then we continue on to 2-point perspective. Here's a bit of an example of a student. Really great 2-point perspective. We continue on to experimental drawings and self-portraits. It's a bit of an example here. Finding different ways to make images using unconventional drawing and painting materials. Students will also do an artist research project in which they research an artist and really go deeply into analyzing visual artworks. And then last, we will work on nature prints. We'll go outside, find some inspiration in the forest behind school, and then come back into the classroom to create prints using a variety of techniques, from monoprinting to linoleum prints and dry point etches. In year 2, again, we look at visual arts, this time more about concepts in art. This is connected to grade 11 TOK and really prepares them for that subject or that chapter of the subject. We're working on still lives in oil paint. This is the first time for a lot of students to work in oil paint. Here's an example. And they really enjoy this. We're working from observation and then translating that to a 2-dimensional surface. Students create a graphic novel that is of a personal story. Here's an example of that. Students can choose any medium for these kinds of works. So although they are restricted that the work has to be sequential, they can use any medium they like. Ceramic sculptures, this kind of changes the topic depending on what the students like and what kind of class it is. I've done personal totems, we've done famous artworks in clay, we've done ceramic vessels. It kind of depends on where the art takes us. And then finally, students create a themed individual work. Students set their own theme, decide their own art making form, do research, figure out how to make the artwork, and then make it. This could be any kind of work. Students Some students want to sew things, other students make sculptures or paintings or videos. It is really all up to them. They use everything they've learned the whole year. And this is especially for grade 10 students by then to show what they've learned in the 2 cycles. During the visual art course, we're focused on these 3 topics, technique and media. Students are usually very free in what kind of media they can use and explore different techniques through their projects. Yeah, all sorts of things from printing to sculpting to sewing, drawing, painting with different mediums, such as here is acrylic paint, but we're also working on oil paint, watercolors. I'm really trying to touch on as many basics as I can and some less conventional. Students are required to always come up with a concept for each work. Here's 2 sketchbooks, visual journals with examples from students. Here's one where a student developed a concept for a 2-point perspective drawing, 2 and 3-point perspective, sorry. And here is that as well, another 2-point perspective work, but combined with a self-portrait. It is very important in any artist's work that they develop a clear idea of what they want to create and figure out why they want to create it. Intention is very important, and that's all part of the concept. So the visual journal is plays a bigger role now than it did in previous year. This again prepares them for the DP visual arts course. So that's the visual journal that the students keep throughout the year, hopefully 2 years, unless they fill it and they get a new one. So yeah, I hope that answered some questions and have given some idea of what we're doing in class. Yeah. All right.
Hi, this is Mr. Galloway, the MYP 4 and 5 Theatre Arts teacher speaking. I am about to present to you the course structure and content for the MYP 4 and 5 Theatre Arts program at the International School of Bern. The MYP 4 and 5 Theatre Arts course further develops the student's knowledge and understanding of the basics of practical drama developed in MYP 1, 2 and 3. This is done through looking at key practical drama concepts such as structure and plot, characterization and role, dialogue, physicality, pacing, contrast and dynamics, tension, spatial awareness, and proxemics. They will look at the stylistic conventions associated with different genres through 3 different points of view. First of all, the actor, then the director, and also the designer. From this, they will demonstrate an understanding of the ways in which choices made by either the actor, the director, or the designer can affect the performance in specific ways, as well as differing audience responses. It's important to understand the dramatic terms and how to use them when writing about drama, and also being able to use the appropriate technical terminology, not only in writing, but also in rehearsal. The IB Arts assessment criteria are broken down into 4 discrete skills, all of which are represented on the slide in front of you. These skills are divided into the assessment criteria A, knowing and understanding, criteria B, developing skills, criteria C, thinking creatively, and criteria D, responding. Each of these are assessed at a minimum of twice an academic year. The purpose of theatre arts is to allow the students through the dramatic process. That is to say, we give the students an opportunity to create, to present, and finally to evaluate. The assessment criteria are graded and assessed at every opportunity, but they are formatively practiced and assessed through the process journal. The process journal is an important piece of information for me as the drama teacher to see how the students are applying their assessment criteria, knowing and understanding, developing skills, thinking creatively, and responding. The idea behind the process journal is for the students at the end of every lesson to consider what they have learned, what skills they have developed, how they have responded to challenges, and how they have overcome those challenges. They consider the ideas of group work, they consider the ideas of the concepts that have been practiced, as well as the different conventions that are being taught. Students are free to design their process journal as creatively as they wish, either through a vlog, a blog, through Google Slides or presentations. The idea behind the process journal is to keep a record of the experience. The course itself is divided into 2 cycles. MYP 4 and 5 are a mixed class, and so they will be given an opportunity to complete a total of 8 units in the 2-year program. Cycle 1 begins with an improvisation unit entitled Whose Line Is It Anyway? The students learn to cope with the creative demands of the dramatic process, and that requires them to create, present, and apply their understanding of the practice in theory, specifically through improvisation. Students will practice performance skills through a number of workshops. They will consider various forms of communication, and finally they will devise a piece of work in performance as an individual and within a group. At the same time, during this unit, the students will consider various identities and relationships from a number of perspectives. A further study on war as a concept and how characters can be brought to life through monologue allows the students to focus on delivery and intention as dramatic techniques in performance. Using these skills, the theatre arts students are then asked to apply the dramatic process and will devise a performance based on an existing written piece. Students will consider the design aspect of a performance from lighting to sound and costume. They will devise a concept for their performance in which they develop a theme through design and independently bring this to a final realization in performance. Rehearsal, direction, script work, and presentation is the final goal. Applying the approaches to learning skills is essential through effective communication, collaboration, thinking, and reflection, all of which are embedded in these units in MYP 4 and 5. Finally, students will study theatre history, and they will consider the origins of theatrical performance by looking at Greek and Roman forms of theatre to further explore the use of body and voice in various forms. Moving into cycle 2, we begin the year again with Whose Line Is It Anyway? Part 2, which considers the demands of the dramatic process and looks again at practice of theory through improvisation. Theatre history will see the students study and apply their understanding of medieval theatre, realism, and we will look at international forms of theatre, specifically Asian. Looking into the concept of ambiguity and innocence, students will consider the story of Derek Bentley, who was convicted and executed for the wrongful death of a policeman in the 1950s. Here, they will reenact the events through research and lengthy discussion, consider the importance of political theatre as well as human rights as a form of protest theatre. At the end of Cycle 2, the students will begin to consider the insight into two contrasting styles of performance through the lens of the practitioners Stanislavski and Brecht. This will give them an opportunity to explore the techniques and methods used in order to create performance work of a specific style by considering the magical if as a means for social change, as well as breaking down the fourth wall in the theatre. The importance of establishing links to real-life situations in all of these units is a consideration for theatre arts. We continually ask the question, why do we understand something? And how do we understand something? And this will serve as a foundation for the future studies in the Diploma's Theory of Knowledge course. Also, theatre arts performs many cross-curricular links to the various areas of knowledge that the diploma students will eventually begin to learn. I hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to hearing from you should you have any further questions. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Manuel Carazo and I am the music teacher for International School of Bern, and I'm going to talk about the music course for 9th and 10th grade. In this music course, the students will develop their knowledge as musicians, and we will study music through composition, performance, and analysis. This course exposes students to form, styles, and functions of music from a wide range of historical and sociocultural contexts. They will develop practical skills which provide them with the opportunity to engage in music for further study or just as a lifetime enjoyment. In the first section, which is analysis, we will analyze and we will compare different musical cultures, different music from different time periods, parts of the world. Also, they will study the musical elements. They will learn how to write music. They will learn how to use the proper musical terminology to talk like musicians, and they will learn about the context. The next section, in the composition, the students will develop creative skills. They will be able to compose the song, or they can also improvise. They can be soloist, or they can arrange a song. In the last section, the performance, the student will develop performance skills through solo or group music making. And this last part is very important for us. The students will be expected to be active, participating members of a musical group that performs on a regular basis in our school community. So that is basically what we are going to do in 9th and 10th course. So if you have any questions, just let me know. And thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
I am Miss Solomons, and I am the MYP Physical and Health Education teacher at the International School of Bern, and I'm here to speak to you a little bit about the course content for grades 9 and 10. The course is divided into two concepts. Firstly, techniques of the individual pursuit, and secondly, team sports and group activities. Techniques for the individual pursuit. This focuses on developing the skills an individual requires in order to improve various techniques. This is done through sports such as gymnastics and parkour, winter sports such as skiing and snowboarding, personal nutrition and personal fitness, and last but not least, track and field events. It is during these units the student does not compete against anyone else but themselves. By doing this, their focus is completely on their own development. Team sports and group activities. The focus during these units are collaboration, tactical planning, interaction, team competitions, sportsmanship, and understanding spatial awareness. It is a great way to exercise leadership skills as well as physical skills in a safe environment. Well-known team sports such as basketball, handball, tag football, soccer are all included, in addition to global sports such as netball, chukball, and ultimate frisbee. We introduce the grade 9 students to a sport called stuntnastics, which combines parkour, dance, gymnastics, and cheerleading. Here, our aim is to incorporate the individual talents and skills of the students in a collaborative way as to create an original stuntnastics routine. Dance is a focus in grade 10, whereby the students learn about various dance styles, the history behind them, and how some styles have influenced cultures all over the world. The students then become the agents of their learning by creating an original dance piece in either pairs or groups of their choice. This is a great way to incorporate skills learned in previous grades, such as grade 8's dance fitness and grade 9 stuntnastics. In physical and health education, we believe in the motto, trying is always better.
Eric Müller, I'm the language coordinator and German teacher in secondary school at IS Bern. And I would like to talk a little bit about the options for languages in grades 9 and 10 this morning. So as you can see from the slide, the IB values languages very much, and it's an opportunity for students in grades 9 and 10 to delve deeper into the different language acquisition and language options that we offer in those courses. Okay, so we have for German and for French and for mother tongue different options, and there are some considerations to make that are quite important. So for the students, it's important to think about the diploma program choices in grades 11 and 12, and also future study plans. So when you pick these courses, try to think about what's best for you. For example, for some people, a German language acquisition course might make a lot of sense. For others, French language and literature might be very useful. Yeah, so think about those choices and make sure you pick what's best for you. Okay, for language and literature, we have courses available, but that is dependent on numbers. And for language acquisition, it's organized into different phases. So I will talk about the phases a little bit more in the next slide, but first I'll just like to talk quickly about mother tongue. Mother tongue is a possibility, so if you do not want to do a German or French langlet, you could choose, for example, Swedish or Japanese, depending on the approval of the school administration. Okay, so for language acquisition, there are some choices, as you can see. Usually we have emerging, capable, and proficient in grades 9 and 10 for the language acquisition courses, and this is a small overview of what these expectations for MYP look like. So, for example, if you're an emerging, we have an organization of emerging A, which is the first year, or emerging B, which is the second year, and then capable A first year and capable B second year, or proficient, which is basically the highest level available for German or French language acquisition students. Yeah, so for example, a student who is in emerging B should be able to read texts that are between 400 and 500 words. A student who is in emerging A would be expected to be able to speak in an interactive oral task about 1.5 to 2 minutes, or a student who is in capable A should be able to do a writing piece which is about 200 to 250 words long. As you know, I keep telling my students this, in language acquisition there is no analysis of stylistic devices or anything like that, even if you're in the proficient course, but in the language and literature courses you would be expected to analyze stylistic devices. Okay, so that's all for me. Obviously, we all look forward to hearing from you and to see your subject choices. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you for listening to our presentation. We hope you found it both informative and useful. By the time you viewed and listened to this presentation, we will have discussed these subject options with your child in advisory, and we will have sent out the Google form for you to fill in together.